Hey Harmonizers, welcome to a fun wrap-up video where I'm going to ride Cadbury for my first time, but also this is just a little video clip to show you some excellent horse training. This is Jen, who is working on taming this Mustang, and this was pretty exciting because she was using prime alfalfa hay to encourage the Mustang to come closer and closer and closer, eating closer, and now being able to touch the Mustang. So it started with just little touches, and then now she's working on gentle holds and touches. And you can see the horse has a pile of hay over in the other corner. It's just that she is feeding prime alfalfa. So it's a great example of using positive reinforcement to cause a horse to want to interact with you. So this is little Cadbury, and I'm going to go for my first ride. And yes, he is super sweaty. It is ridiculously hot, like ridiculously hot. I think it was well over 30 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was hot, really, really, really hot. And so I felt bad, Cadbury being super sweaty, even though we did zero groundwork prior to this. So Joe had done his little ride-in session in first thing in the morning when it was a little bit cooler. And then we gave him a couple-hour break and definitely got hotter into the day. And then I came out to do my little ride just because I wanted to experience sitting on Cadbury properly, like for riding, before traveling home back to Canada. Because I want to set him and I up for success the best that I could. And I think it's important to do that while we had all the other pieces the same, like the same pen where Joe rode him, Joe who had been doing the most of all of the groundwork and everything like that with him. So it's all the same as best we can. And then really helps me and my confidence. And what we have to remember about horse training is that we really affect the horse. If we are nervous, the horse doesn't know that you're nervous of all this other stuff that might be going on. They just think that there's something legit scary going on, like there's a bear in the bushes, not just that you're nervous about riding somebody new or doing your first jump. They think there's an actual literal threat. And so it's important that our nerves, our energy is really calm. And so for me, this is my first time getting back on a Mustang, first starting a Mustang after my accident. And I'm still within that 2-year range where I have to be extra careful from the accident not to hit my head again. So yes, I am getting on a Mustang, but I'm doing everything I can, wearing my helmet, having the safety vest, having a ground support person in the same pen. I've cut some little pieces of footage just because the camera, nobody was turning it at that moment in time. So I skipped the little parts there. And you can see Cadbury is just kind of walking along. He's aware that I'm there. You can see his little ears be aware and paying attention. He's swishing his tail around, probably because he's going after the bugs. It was pretty hot for sure. And if you look at his tail isn't too much different than the other horse that's standing over in the paddock over there. So it's not a frustration swish, and that's an important signal from the horse to be aware of too, because if they are bothered, usually there are little signs before they explode, unless they truly get overwhelmed. But I love that we're just walking slow. Joe's got a loose lead rope. We're just kind of cruising around, and I'm just trying to sit like a little potato, just sitting there, not doing a whole lot of anything. Just trying to get to a place where I feel comfortable, Cadbury feels comfortable, I'm moving around. And in the beginning, started off with just Joe purely doing all of the leading and guiding of Cadbury. I'm just little potato girl up there. And instead progressing now to being able to rub him and make sure I become a little bit more active and involved. And this is to try to avoid trigger stacking. So trigger stacking is the concept that if something is bothering you a little bit and then a little bit more happens and a little bit more happens, then we can end up getting really upset. And that happens to horses and it happens to humans. And if you think about it, if you're ever watching a movie that's in a particular thrilling part and then all of a sudden your cell phone goes off, you might jump, and you're not scared of your cell phone. It's just because you were already in a heightened state and then something else happened that can trigger you. So that happens with horses too. And it doesn't mean that necessarily, like, it's not like they're being abused or there's something really horrible on, but if you're just on alert anyways, then little things can trigger you that wouldn't normally trigger you. And I want to make sure that we're not doing that to him by me getting on. I'm different, different weight, different energy, different feel. And then I start rubbing or picking up the reins or doing more than he's used to, because he's only ever been ridden once now, other than Joe springing on his back and springing off his back. But he's had one real little ride where Joe was on his back with the saddle, using a rein to turn him and to stop. And then now this is the second ride, my first one on him, but his second ride with a saddle, with a human, with the halter, with the reins, all the pieces there. So we've got that girth element going on too, which we know that the girth has been a tricky thing for him to get comfortable with. He was totally fine with the saddle going on his back, but the strap under his belly has been a hard thing for him to get comfortable with, even though Joe did spend a lot of time doing the rope around the belly technique to help with pulling on a spot in that girth area, trying to get him to be more confident with those pieces. So doing things slowly is good, because I would rather avoid any big explosions. I want things to be really calm for both of us, because if we can end on a note of being like, oh, like that was really easy, we could have done more, then we're best set up for success to keep moving forward in our training and hopefully going on adventures together. I'm hoping that little Cadbury will be able to go on some trail rides with me by the end of the summer. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But he's getting lots of scratches and some cookies and lots of love. And we kept it pretty short and sweet. So I left this video all in real time so you could see the full ride and get an idea that this was literally less than 10 minutes of being on his back. And it was mostly just about setting him up for that thought of, oh, it's no big deal. Lindsay gets on my back. It's all good. And I'm hoping that that means when we go home that everything transitions pretty smoothly and he's just like, yeah, okay, no big deal. No stressors came up, because we always want to finish with relaxation and understanding. So I'm so glad that we took the time. It meant that I stayed a little bit later on our last day, meant that I ended up driving later into the night. But I'm so glad that I did that, because it really helped that I left with a real confidence boost that we're going to go home and no surprises. And also for Cadbury to leave really relaxed and understanding, no stress at all, compared to how he did have some overwhelmed moments with the girth, with the saddle. That was scary for him. And now it seems like he's really figured out, like, yep, no big deal. This is totally fine. And we're just going for a little walk around. So after this moment, he's definitely going to get a big hose off, try to cool him down a little bit before we load up into the trailer and head on our way to start driving back up to Canada, where it's surprisingly not that much cooler than it is in Virginia at that moment. We were having a hot streak too. But let me know what your favorite part was of Cadbury and his journey to getting trained under saddle. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.